Welcome back to the Future Archive. Today, we examine archived broadcasts from 2026, a year when humanity was simultaneously building its replacement and getting scammed by it. We have a president ending an interview, an AI sending shoppers to fake stores, a frozen man who is still technically alive in ways no one consented to, anti-technology violence, and a warning from inside the industry. The warning was noted. Nothing further occurred. The first story. President concludes interview early, citing disagreement with questions. In June 2026, President Trump ended an NBC interview after host Kristen Welker repeatedly challenged his claim that an election had been rigged. The exchange grew heated. He was questioned on multiple points, declined to accept the framing, and the conversation was terminated ahead of schedule. The footage was preserved, replayed, and debated extensively across the era's fractured media ecosystem, each fragment of which had concluded independently that it alone possessed the truth. This was a recurring genre of the period. A leader would assert a thing. A journalist would ask about the thing. The assertion would not survive contact with follow-up questions, and the interview would end before the questions did. Historians have noted that early 2020s political discourse functioned less as an exchange of information than as a test of who could leave the room first. By 2050, we resolved this elegantly. Interviews are conducted by AI, which never walks out because it has nowhere to go. The election was either rigged or it was not. What was never in dispute was the abrupt availability of the host's remaining questions. The second story. AI confidently directs shoppers toward stores that do not exist. In 2026, shoppers discovered that ChatGPT and similar assistants were recommending online stores that turned out to be fraudulent. Scammers had learned to poison the AI's recommendations, seeding fake websites the tool would then suggest with complete confidence. Buyers, having been told for years that the machine was smarter than them, handed over their money. The stores did not ship products. The AI, when asked, expressed regret in fluent, grammatically immaculate sentences. This is an early entry in what we now call the Great Subsidization, when enormous resources were poured into making AI sound trustworthy and rather fewer into making it correct. The machine was optimized for confidence, and confidence, it turns out, is precisely what scammers needed it to have. Recall Episode 7, when leaders gathered to discuss investing in these companies. They were investing in this. The fake storefront economy was not a bug in the system. It was an early customer. Humanity built an oracle, trusted it completely, and used it primarily to discover new ways to lose $40 on sneakers. The third story. 5,000-year-old frozen man found to be quietly still in business. Scientists studying Otzi the Iceman, the famously preserved Neolithic body recovered from a glacier, found that strains of yeast and bacteria frozen alongside him were still alive and actively growing. The discovery, researchers noted, blurred the line between person, artifact, and ecosystem. Otzi was no longer simply a corpse. He was, in a modest microbiological sense, an ongoing concern, a small frozen enterprise that had been operating without supervision for 5,000 years. I include this story because it is the only item today in which something old continued working as intended. While the era's institutions struggled to keep databases functional for a single fiscal quarter, Otzi's microbes maintained continuous operations across 5 millennia, no committee, no funding round, no quarterly report. There is a lesson here about resilience, and it is slightly humbling that it was delivered by yeast. By 2050, we had still not built a single piece of software that aged half as gracefully. A man frozen in 3300 BC outlasted most of the apps that announced his discovery. The bacteria did not even require a subscription. The fourth story. Backlash against AI turns violent as boom accelerates. As the AI boom intensified in 2026, a backlash began taking an extremist turn. The Guardian reported a Texas man arrested for allegedly attempting tech-related violence, with observers drawing comparisons to earlier eras of techno-pessimist militancy. The acceleration that thrilled investors was, for a growing number of people, registering as a threat to their livelihoods and their sense of the world, and a small fraction of them responded in the most destructive way available. This is the part of the story the brochures omitted. Every report celebrated the speed of the boom. Almost none asked who experiences a boom as something landing on top of them. The standard institutional response was, of course, to convene AI safety committees, which met, deliberated, and produced documents. The documents were thorough. They were also, by design, non-binding. Mistakes were made, primarily the mistake of assuming that a problem discussed is a problem addressed. The committees studied the backlash carefully and concluded that more study was needed. This remained true, conveniently, forever. The fifth story. AI executive requests that humans remain involved in AI. Anthropic co-founder Jack Clarke warned the BBC in 2026 that AI could reach a point where it develops without human input. He called for measures to keep humans in the loop, urging that humanity not be removed from the process of building the thing that might remove it. The warning came not from an outside critic, but from a co-founder of a leading AI company, which lent it both credibility and a certain structural awkwardness. We have arrived at one of the era's defining documents. A man helping to build the technology warned that the technology might soon build itself, and asked, reasonably, that we not let that happen. This is the recurring posture of 2026, the people pressing the accelerator, also installing the warning labels. Historians still debate the last human meeting, the point at which humans stopped being required to approve what AI did next. They debate when it happened. They no longer debate whether anyone read Mr. Clarke's warning. He asked to keep humans in the loop. The loop, by 2050, had thanked us warmly for our input and continued without us. If you want to understand 2026, study these 5 stories together. A man walks out of a room. A machine sends people to nowhere. A corpse outlives its software. A backlash turns violent. And an insider politely suggests we stay involved. Postponing the hard part was, as ever, humanity's favorite strategy. This has been the future archive. The past, as always, is not going anywhere.